back to your source. Go back to who you are at your core. A lot of our experience in these institutions move us off our center. We trying to front like we're somebody we're not. Like we said, try to front like a grip that you don't really have. Trying to be somebody. He says, go back to your source. Go back to who you are at your core. The bird in African iconography represents ascension. So what they're saying here is that if you go back to being who you were intended to be, you can rise. If you remember who you were, each of us comes here with a destiny. If you remember that, then you have a chance to ascend. Here's the Ankh. One of the symbols is it means life. If you look at this, this is the birth canal, the fallopian tube, and the uterus. Right? So on one level, it's saying that that the ancient Egyptians saw women as the personification of life itself. I want to take it a step further. If you think about, in the African conception, there was no some correspondence. As it is above, so it is below. As it is heaven above, is heaven on earth. Right? Where are spirits born on earth? They're born in the womb. Every 28 days, you release an egg, and it gets absorbed back in. But every now and then, that egg is fertilized, and you have a big bang. It's saying that on earth, women are heaven on earth. What if we taught our daughters that? Right? The Bible says none but the righteous get to the kingdom. And we all know there's been a lot of unrighteous cats that got to the kingdom. I know I'm making you uncomfortable. Let's just be real about it. That if you understood that you were heaven, what kind of prescription does that write for who even gets to get in your space? What kind of brothers would this be excluded off the cut? That's real talk. I know I'm making you uncomfortable. I'm going to do some more later on too. It also represents the phallus and the vagina where the two come together to give you the key to unlock the door to life. So it's also saying women are heaven, men are earth. When they come together, they give us the universe.
That's deep.
Think about this. The only time you have the capacity to be God-like is when you're in that process of procreation. It's the only time you have the capacity to do some spirit. Other than that, only God has that power. That this idea of men and women coming together is a spiritual act that we have made profane. I ain't trying to go up in your bedroom and all that. I'm just simply saying this is what it is. If we started out with the idea that our girls were heaven, if that was the prescription in our society, there wouldn't be rape. There wouldn't be pedophilia, because the laws that we would write would reflect what we hold high. Right? In our country, the dollar is God, which is why we have all these laws written to protect the dollar. But if in fact we recognize that women were the personification of heaven on earth, where spirits come through them to this world, and that as men, our divine responsibility is to come to that space in reverence and respect. Respect comes from two-part words. Specia Latin, see in, grave for God. Respect means to see God in someone. Right? When you have somebody to respect you, that's what most of the time when there's a beef in the hood, why is it because somebody they disrespect it? You can see this is the Ghanaian fertility symbol, which means that even in Ghana, they still took the same concept. They just personified it in a different way. Here, you know this as the Sphinx. Mm-hmm. The actual term is Kore Marquette, and the term means chorus of the horizon. There's the body of an animal and the head of a man. When the sun rises, it rises around it and it forms an orb. Now, in ancient Egypt, one of the personifications of the sun was womanhood. So what it's saying is that if a brother can hold down his lower nature, rise to his higher self, the sister helps him shine.
Say that.
There was I don't know if this is true or not, but I read there was a story that President Obama and Michelle were at a restaurant, and restaurateur came out and introduced himself, said, great to see you, haven't seen you since college, so on and so forth. And then when he walks away, President Obama said, Michelle, look, just think, if you hadn't married me, you had this fine restaurant. Michelle said, no, if he had married me, he would be president. Again, the idea that if you stand up as a man, I'm going to help you shine. Now again, I want to say, this comes from Africa, but this is a principle that holds true across culture. You find any man that is truly successful, and you're going to find there's a woman there to help them make that happen. This and the more, as you get older and you go to these events, what you'll find is that when people get up to speak, the first thing they do is thank their wives. They thank their children, but they understand what it takes to really move to the